We overdo the masculine. And then we wonder why we're not creative anymore, why we're not passionate like we once were.
Welcome to the Words of Wisdom podcast. This is the place to be to raise the consciousness within in order to create a life and business of ease, flow, and freedom. This podcast offers inspiring stories, strategies, and special guests to help you become your most aligned self. I am Minerva Maharaj, a former NBA Toronto Raptors dancer turned ICF accredited spiritual life coach, founder of Goddess of Wisdom Spiritual Life Coaching, and Star Seed Academy coach training. My soul's mission is to show you the impossible is truly possible. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Let's get to awakening your soul's wisdom.
Welcome to this week's episode of Words of Wisdom. Today, what I feel inspired to dive into tags on from the Lion's Portal and all of the energies and everything that's been coming up to the surface, I'm sure for a lot of people this week. And it comes to asking you the question, are you thriving or are you surviving in your business or life? Pick your topic. Are you thriving or are you surviving? Are you just trying to get by and just get on to the next day? That's not the way we're meant to live. That's not the way it should be. I don't like using the word should, but I'll tell you right now, you shouldn't be living like that. You're here to thrive and you're here to experience expansiveness and the overflow of life. And the reason you're not thriving and you're just surviving and trying to get by is because one of the contributing factors to that is that your masculine and feminine energies are out of balance. You are operating in the unhealthy masculine and feminine. Now, what does that mean? If you are a spiritually conscious woman, you may be aware that you have masculine and feminine energies. We all do, whether you're male or female. Now, the reason you're not thriving is that you may be operating in the wounded masculine, in the overactive masculine, or the underactive masculine. And you are not operating in the optimal, divine, healthy, feminine energy as well. So the masculine and feminine energies, I'll lay out what that looks like. So feminine energy is about desire. It's about creation. It's about feeling and flowing and receiving. It's about pleasure. It's about that full expression and just being. And then the masculine is about doing. It's about giving. It's about driving what the feminine desires. It's about carrying out what the feminine has created. It's also about presence and consciousness. It's also about being grounded. It has a state of being, but it is more about doing. And so what often happens, and especially female leaders and female business owners, what we tend to do is fall into the masculine quite a lot. And often we may fall into the wounded, unhealthy, dysregulated masculine. And what that means is that we're in overdrive in the masculine. We overdo the masculine. And then we wonder why we're not creative anymore, why we're not passionate like we once were, why we're not receiving what we've desired to receive and experience more in our life from our output in our business and in our lives and in our family. And that's because we've been operating more often than not in the masculine, and we throw that out of balance if we spend the majority of our time in the masculine and we don't balance it with being in the feminine. And as well, not only just being in the masculine, but being in the wounded masculine, overcompensating, overdoing, not feeling safe and secure, which is part of the masculine's job, is providing and creating safety and security and structure. But we operate in the masculine from a state of when we're not even feeling safe. So we push through in our businesses and in our lives and we don't feel safe. So I'm just going to do and work harder and make this work and make this feel safer and try to provide from this place and try to create from this place and try to make things happen from this place, from this dysregulated, from this unhealthy masculine energy. And so I know the topic may come up, or if you're thinking like, but isn't it the masculine's job? Is it my husband's job or my partner's job to do these things, right? And only if my partner would, provide for me, then I would feel better. Only if my partner created that safety and trust, then I would feel more secure. But in fact, your relationships is a direct reflection on how balanced you are energetically within you, how balanced and healthy you are within your masculine and feminine energies. So your relationships and money and everything, I'm just take the topic of relationships for this example, is mirroring back to you whether you are operating optimally in your masculine and feminine energies. So if you're looking to your partner and they're not fulfilling you, or you're finding fault in them, chances are it's directly reflecting back to you who you are being and how you are showing up and how you are being expressed in your masculine energy and feminine energy. So when we don't feel safe and secure internally, when we don't have that solid foundation, and when we're not conscious internally, if we're not conscious within, we're most likely going to point that out in our partners or other people, something outside of us. And that when that happens and when that changes and when that shifts, then I will feel safe and secure. Then I'll feel provided for. But tying this back to business, we tend to go after our goals as female entrepreneurs from a state of, I have to do in order to. I have to do this in order to feel safe. When I do this, then I'll feel secure. Then I'll feel stable. If I was just to do this and just really overwork, and once it's done, then I could start having fun. When in fact, the feminine, who's responsible for fun, pleasure, passion, creativity, creating, when you think of the feminine, you think of uterus, you think of the womb. That is our creation space. Whether you choose to have a child or not, that's not the question. We, as feminine to our core, the feminine energy is about creation, is about vision, is about bringing life to. And the feminine can't flourish in desire and feeling and passion and creativity and creating when the structures are not in place, when you don't feel safe, when you don't have a solid foundation, when it's not grounded and rooted in the healthy, in the balanced, healthy masculine. So today I want to share with you 3 ways to start healing and balancing the masculine energy so that the feminine can thrive, so that you can start experiencing and feeling more of what it is you desire, what you came here to do, what you came here to create, what you came here to experience. And you're not able to do that unless you have a steady, sturdy masculine energy balance within you. We often think, where did our desire go? Where did our passion go? Where did our creativity go? Why am I not receiving based on all the hard work that I do as a mother, as a business owner, as a wife, all those things? You're not able to live in that and experience that more often than not because it's built on the shaky masculine within you of not feeling safe. You don't feel secure. you're dysregulated, you're overworked, you're overcompensating, you're overdoing. And this creates this shaky breeding ground, this shaky foundation that then the feminine turns to and is like, well, I don't feel safe. That's not supportive to me to flourish and fly, for my desires to grow, for me to get creative, for me to feel supportive, for me. I don't feel safe to flourish. The feminine needs to feel safe in order to flourish and fly. So, how do we start rebalancing this energy? Number one, get clear on that desire. And you don't even have to work hard on that. If you haven't asked yourself that question in a while, that's okay. But ask yourself, what do I desire? Okay. Chances are you just need to ask yourself the question and it comes. What does your soul, what does your being from the core desire to experience and feel and have right now? That's your desire. You set it and let it. Okay. That's coming from the feminine. The feminine has the vision. The feminine is leading this. Okay. You have created it. It's already done. If you can see it, if you can feel it, if you can sense it, it's already created. You just created it. It is done. Now, set it and let it. And now we move to the masculine. The masculine now, job is to support that, is to drive that, is to create that, in support of that. But the feminine has the desire. You just created that. You chose that. You desire that. You just created that on that level, on that energetic level. And now the masculine's going to come in. This is where you want to have the masculine take action. This is where the doing part of you comes into place, but from a healthy place. When you trust your desires and trust that that is enough, it is already done, then how the masculine could show up in a healthy way is in trust of the feminine. Is, okay, this is my mission. Masculine, mission driven, purpose driven. This is the mission I'm going to do in support of that. So within you as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, the actions you take need to be in support of that vision, in support and serving that desire. So for example, if you desire more spaciousness, if you desire freedom, if you desire to rest and receive and not overwork, work when you want, and still receive in the meantime, receive money, receive support, receive a flourishing business, then you need to have, the first thing is, I'm going into the first of 3 things you need to do to start balancing the masculine energy and creating the sacred, secure masculine within you, is structure. So the first thing to do is in support of this desire you have, is create structure. Okay. So structure is like, when you think of building a house, you need a solid foundation. You need a solid structure in place to build the house, for the house to stand, for you to flourish, for you to feel safe. So you need to create that structure. So what that structure may look like is, let's just use the example. You want more spaciousness in your day. You want more freedom within your business. You could choose when to work and not feel so tied to your work, but you can work when you want, where you want, and still receive an abundance of income and clients and freedom at the same time to do what you want in your personal life and in your business life. So let's use that as the desire. That's what you desire. It's more freedom in the business, more spaciousness in the business. Now take a look at your structure. Are the structures in place to support that in your daily schedule, in how you choose to market your business? So let's look at the schedule. If you desire more freedom and spaciousness, Is your daily schedule set up that way? Or is it jam packed with back to back meetings? Every day is accounted for, even the evenings, even the weekends. Every hour in your Google Calendar is blocked off with something. It could even be kids, and then lunch, and then meeting, and then, oh, social media, and then newsletter, and then make dinner, and then get ready for the next day. And your whole calendar is blocked off. It's accounted for something. And there is no space. There's no room to move anything around. There's no space for you in that. There is just no choice. There's just no feeling of spaciousness within your calendar. So, are the structures in place to support that vision? So, if your vision is to work when you want, where you want, what would that look like in a calendar? What would that look like on a daily schedule? Have that structure in place. Start writing that out. At least write out what that looks like. For me, that means, well, I'm going to get to the business part of it, but calendar wise, I do notice that I work better if I don't have more than one thing a day. So on Thursdays, for example, today's Thursday, I just teach. And the other thing that I do is a podcast. I do a live. When I used to pack in social media, newsletters, and podcasts in the same day, I would feel overwhelmed. I'll feel burnt out. Then there was no room for creativity to come. And I just started moving into the overactive masculine, the unhealthy masculine, and just do, bang things out just to get it done. And it wasn't productive and it wasn't effective. It wasn't nourishing. It wasn't aligned to my true desires. It wasn't aligned to how I wanted to feel or what I was here to do. It just ended up getting burnt out. So I wanted more space and freedom in my schedule. So I wrote that in. I gave myself permission to just focus on one thing a day. Do I do that all the time? There's some days in some weeks, maybe I move things to another day because I created spaciousness to do that. Now I have Wednesdays free for a little bit. And I like that where I could just focus and choose whatever I want to do. Do I want to work that day or do I want to use this day to just take it off completely? It doesn't affect my business and income. Now, it took time to get there. I had to do a lot of work, internal work, and still, I have a different vision for my business now and it keeps evolving and changing. But I check into, okay, if this is a desire, are the structures in place in support of that desire? Does my daily schedule match that desire or is in contradiction to that? If I wanted to simplify my business the beginning of this year and I did just that, now I just do 3 main things for my business: newsletters, social media, podcast. And even social media gets bumped into that. Some days I just don't write a post. I have posts scheduled for a couple of weeks out right now, but I'm going to tune into what I desire in that moment to lead my next steps. My business may look completely different by the end of this year and even most likely different next year. But right now, I'm choosing from a place. I'm allowing the feminine to lead, my desire to lead. I literally ask myself, what do I desire today? What do I desire today? And if it's like rest or work or go do the podcast, that's what inspired this podcast, was like, do the podcast. I desire to do that now. And then the ideas come, the words flow, the energy backs it up. I go out and do from a place of alignment. That's alignment. So, do you have the structures in place? The other thing is, as I mentioned, I set the intention for simplicity in my business this year. So I scaled back a lot of things and I started scaling back all of the little things I was doing, which I thought were productive for my business and actually wasn't. So I want simplicity. That's the desire. So I took a look at what are my marketing efforts around my business? What feels good? What doesn't feel good? What feels in support of simplicity? And I literally, yes, I had like the big sit down and talk with myself and work through those things, but I constantly check in. Is this what I want? In this case, you don't just set it and let it all the time. You got to check in with it. Is this what I want? Is this how I desire to run my business? Is this what I desire to do? Is this nourishing to me right now? Because if it's not nourishing to me, then I'm not showing up as my magnetic, desirable self. Not that that's why I do it, but in other words, how to say that, I'm not showing up as my true divine self, and who I am in my divine and who I truly am, my core is feminine to my core. I'm here to be who I truly be. And in that, when I'm being who I truly am, I receive all things. Things are easy. It flows. There's no thinking. There's just being. There's just inspiration. There's just passion. There's just creativity, and it is done. And things can be created at lightning speed and not at logic speed and not at the doing tangible level at times. That's who I really am. That's what I really desire. So I go to structure. Number one, are the structures in place in your daily schedule and maybe even your budget? Do I have a plan? Do I have those steps in place? Where it becomes airy fairy is when we have these desires and no structures and plan in place, right? We just wish it and hope it and wonder. But when you have these structures in place, it grounds it, anchors it. You have a foundation, you have something to fall back on, even if that changes. So hopefully this is making sense in terms of what this looks like to restore the masculine energy within yourself and then within your business. And that when you have those structures in place and when you are coming from the solid, secure masculine within you, then the feminine is able to thrive. You're not just surviving, you're not just get buying. I make up my own words, by the way. If you've been following me for a while, you know that by now. You're not just surviving, you are thriving when you allow the feminine to lead. So, to support that, create the structures, the budget, the daily schedule, the plan, whatever you need to do to build that foundation in support of the feminine, in support of the desire. Number two, we need to set boundaries. This is how you start restoring and building up the healthy masculine within you and within your business and within your life. You need to set boundaries around your time, around your energy, and around what you do and what you don't do. Whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, whenever you feel drained, there's a lack of boundaries. You need to reset and refresh those boundaries, reassess them. Anytime I feel overwhelmed, I don't have boundaries, and not even just boundaries for other people, but for myself. And when I stop working, or how much I work a day, or how often I'm going to work during the week, or what thoughts I allow into my realm, into my body, in who I allow in my space, what I allow clients to do, in in what requests I allow clients to, have of me. Like, I make things very clear. And if it's not clear, it's an opportunity to set those boundaries. But oftentimes when I'm feeling overwhelmed and we're in the unhealthy feminine, we haven't set those healthy boundaries of what I say yes to my energy, what feels good and nourishing to my energy and to my time, and protect my body, my mind, my soul, my family time, my workspace, right? I don't like being interrupted when I'm working. So you create that space. I communicate to who I need to communicate that I need quiet time right now. There's times where mama needs quiet time. I need to just reset my energy. I let my kids know, mommy, this is mommy's quiet time. Mommy needs space right now. I'll be right back. Setting those boundaries and being aware of what it is that, is nourishing to you. So you need to be clear about your boundaries for yourself It's not just about for other people, it's for yourself. And what limits are you setting for yourself? Not limits, but healthy boundaries so that you are balanced, you are healthy, you're keeping yourself you're creating that safety for yourself. You can't expect other people to create that safety for yourself if you're not creating it and honoring it for yourself. So setting those boundaries around your time, around energy. So if you feel like drained in energy, you don't have boundaries set and who you're going to hang out with, if you're going to answer the phone, what are the boundaries around your phone? What are your boundaries around conversations that you choose to engage in? What are your boundaries around your clients? What are boundaries around family members? Even time around your kids? What are the boundaries that you're setting? And normally we feel the drain when there's no boundaries in place. So when you set the boundaries for yourself, and you're very clear about that, you are operating in your healthy masculine and you don't feel that, oh, I feel bad. What are they going to think about it? When you are clear and it makes you feel good and it restores and nourishes your energy, there's nothing to feel bad about. You're operating in the healthy masculine. And then the feminine feels safe to come out and play. Then you know, okay, I have this time to be creative. And you flourish in that designated time you set in the day for yourself to work on your business because it you set those boundaries. There are, it's segmented in terms of, you know, it's not just going to overflow, right? So for me, where I thrive is like, okay, if I have this set time and I know the kids are safe, the kids are, have their time and they're taken care of, and this is my time for me, and I create a safe space around me, it's something that's nourishing for me. I have taken care of myself. I'm more likely to write or speak on the things that just feel so nourishing to me and for other people who are listening because I've created those boundaries and the structures for the feminine to flow. Number 3, to create the safety and restore the masculine, the healthy sacred masculine within you is have a path to consciousness. Do you have a practice? Do you have a path that leads you back to consciousness where you can go inward and assess and hear yourself and be with yourself and bring consciousness to who you are being and what you are doing? Because this is not about perfection. This is not about perfecting anything. It's about, do you have a path that leads you back to consciousness so that you can get grounded again? You can hear yourself again. You can feel sturdy and strong again. Because really, the sense of safety and security and groundedness is and only is going to come from you. So when you have a path to consciousness, a practice that brings you back to consciousness, when you have that within you, you can come back to that safety and security anytime. And when you can anchor into that, then again, the feminine feels safe to come out and play. And as I mentioned, the feminine thrives when the masculine is secure, is steady, is healthy, is operating in its optimal way. When you think about a male and female relationship, a man and woman in a marriage, when the man sets the boundaries, when the man provides, when the man protects his partner, the feminine, the female soften. She feels safe. She feels seen. She feels like she can just be herself. She can just flow and she can express herself fully. And that's what we're doing in the internal, is creating that safety, creating that structure, creating that consciousness, creating that protection and that provision within yourself so that the feminine can flow, so that you can thrive If you're thriving internally, you're going to be thriving externally. If the balance of the masculine and feminine are in place and it's healthy, in a healthy state, it's going to be expressed outward, and then you're going to experience it inward. You're going to experience in and around you. So, creating that path to consciousness, meditation, grounding, earthing, hiking, being in nature. What can you do that brings you back to you, where you can hear yourself, where you go inward and you can assess what's going on, what you need, and who you are being in any given moment? And the more you bring consciousness to yourself and you get that answer, you get the that relief, that answer, that support, then you find you'll be able to move forward and flourish. So, those are my 3 steps to start restoring the masculine energy within you so that you can start thriving. And the way you're going to thrive is by letting the feminine lead, by letting the desires be the lead, by letting your creativity and be the creator come out and play. But it needs to have that safety, it needs to have that structure in order to flourish and thrive. And when you're just surviving, things are out of balance, you're overworking the masculine, you are operating in the wounded masculine, you're operating in the toxic programming of the masculine, and you're just trying to get by, you're just trying to do the things, the surface things for your business, and just doing just to do and to get by. That's not thriving. You're just surviving. You're just trying to get to the day to day and trying to see some sort of result. And what that's going to lead to is a crash and burn. It is not sustainable. It is not fulfilling. You're going to want to give up or may even fully just give up, because what you're really in all of this for is to thrive, is to serve, is to live out those desires within you. And you have the only way to do that is to have those stable structures in place. So if you feel like you're just getting by, you want to take a look at where you're at energetically within your masculine and feminine energies. I would love to know how this resonated with you. Leave it in the comments below. And I also really truly hope this served you and inspired you to start taking a look and as well as taking ownership of your own masculine and feminine energies, and know that you don't need a partner or a teacher or anyone to provide that safety and security for you. That you are the source of your creations, you are the source of your experiences, and that when you tap in deeply and completely to who you are, you unleash the power within you. You unleash the magic. You unleash what you are here for and what God put you on this earth for. And you connect to the power of who you truly be and that God presence within you and the God power within you to create anything you want and to change the world and to make a true impact on others. So I truly hope this episode around restoring your masculine energy really served you and then you are inspired to thrive again. If you haven't heard already, Portal to Overflow is open to you. And this is part of the work that we do to create and experience a life in overflow in your business, in your money, in your relationships, in your entire being. And I walk you through, and I walk through this portal myself completely many a times and still am in my own way. And this work is never ending. And the work is not about getting an end result, it's about being more of who we are. And that's what Portal to Overflow is about. I walk with you to connect deeply on every level to who you truly are so that you can be who you are truly meant to be and who you truly are at the core. And who you truly are at the core is this flourishing masculine and feminine energy in full expression and God presence here on earth. And that's what I help you walk through. And there's a variety of tools. There's high level conversations and one on one coaching that you get in this group container, as well as support outside of the program in our Voxer group support chat. And so in Portal to Overflow, I take you through this journey to deepen more into who you are and start living, breathing, and having and holding your desires here in this lifetime. So, if this speaks to you, I invite you to take a look at the links below and the bio above, wherever you're looking at YouTube or Instagram. And we start next month with a kickoff call. And if you have any questions, feel free to direct message me on Instagram at Goddess of Wisdom Coach. I appreciate you all for listening, and I really hope to serve you. Send you all love and light.